I mean,
But I love Tom Hardy.
It was yeah.
Put him in there.
Tom Hardy's great. Tom Hardy is the safety valve. It's like we can't think of someone good to put in this role. Just get Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the cash in box office cheat card.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, El Toddo.
What's going on?
We got a podcast, The Buff and the Blazer. If I was a listener, where would I go to find more?
You can check us out on our website, thebuffandtheblazer.com. Drew over there writes a article that goes along with every single episode.
You can find all kinds of little extras on the articles, and you can listen to the podcast right there. Also, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, we're on Twitter at Buff and Blazer. Follow us there.
Get those clicks, people.
The Buff and the Blazer.
Welcome to episode 9 of the Buff and the Blazer podcast. I'm Drew. As always, I'm joined with El Toddo.
What's up, people?
And today we are going to discuss Birds of Prey, directed by Kathy Yan. El Toddo, you're not huge into comic book movies. This may have been one of the first films you've seen in the genre in a while, if at all. What did you think coming out of the theater on this one?
Coming out of the theater, it was better than I expected, but I also didn't have very high expectations for the movie because I'm not a comic book movie person. I wasn't really a comic book kid, but maybe let me see, Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
That was the last
comic book movie I've seen.
That's impressive.
I don't know when that was. That was like early 2000s, right?
Yeah,
like 02 or something.
I'd say around there.
And I was like out after that. It's like just not interested at all. I've seen a few comic book movies like playing if I'm in a hotel or something on HBO or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Suicide Squad's one of those movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I've probably watched that whole movie. I've probably seen every scene, but I've never watched it front to back. And I've only landed on that channel because Margot Robbie's in it. So I was actually not too bummed out about having to go see this movie because Margot Robbie's in it, and she's awesome and insanely hot. Yeah, going into the movie, I don't know anything about Harley Quinn, the character, and her history. And I was fairly engaged in the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to write a really good story, I think, with comic books. And I feel like the plot line and the story fell a little flat.
Okay.
But the action was better than I expected. I really appreciated that it was rated R.
Oh, yeah.
I like absolutely appreciated that. And yeah, pleasantly surprised, I'd put it as like an overall.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I am pretty familiar with these films, the DC and Marvel. DC films and Marvel. There's some smaller comic book films coming out too that aren't associated with the big two. So going into this, I was familiar with Suicide Squad and Margot Robbie's portrayal of Harley Quinn, the character, and I could say flat out she nailed Harley Quinn in the film. It was so enjoyable to watch. It's like you took the character out of the animated series and plopped her into live action with Margot Robbie, and it was flawless. It was like the perfect execution of that character, and I was so happy with it, and it really made the film for me. Like her portrayal of the character of Harley Quinn, it was so fun. I had a good time. Like you, I had my problems with the film, and I wouldn't say it's a perfect film at all, but I did enjoy it quite a bit more than Suicide Squad. It was better made. The characters were more interesting. And overall, I'd say it was just a better experience. I had a lot of fun. I would totally call this like a popcorn film.
Yeah.
It's a summer blockbuster, go out and have a good time, eat your popcorn. And
that came out in the middle of winter.
Sure. Yeah. But that's what I'd have to say about Birds of Prey. It was good enough for me. And watching Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, it was a real joy, like brought me back to my childhood.
So was it a cartoon on TV when we were kids?
Yeah, so like the early 90s, 92, 93.
Okay.
The animated series, it was huge. It was like winning Emmy Awards and stuff like that. Really well done. And her character was introduced in the animated series, if I'm remembering correctly. I know she has a first appearance in the animated series comic, but she really got popular in the animated series, and her character is exactly the same. Like the character you saw in Birds of Prey, that was the character you saw in the animated series in the 90s.
Like the totally crazy,
Off the chain,
the
like
totally
crazy, ditzy.
hyper emotional,
Yeah, like
tantrumy.
exactly. And I was cracking up watching her portray that character on screen. It was such a blast to watch. Let's go in a little bit to what you were saying about the plot of the film. Like, what things didn't work for you off the bat, like off the top of your head?
So it took quite a while for the Birds of Prey to form in the movie.
Yeah.
And I kind of expected a little more like a posse of chicks throughout the whole movie,
Mm-hmm.
going out and kicking ass.
Yeah.
And they were like kicking ass in their own ways, and then all the stories kind of converged, and I felt like it maybe should have got there a little quicker.
Yeah.
With comic book movies, it's really hard to make anything believable,
Yeah.
I think, and kind of buy in. You kind of have to be a total fan of that series or,
Sure.
that, group of characters. And when you don't have that like I do,
Yeah.
it didn't hook me really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to buy in a little more, I guess.
Yeah. Like, you totally have
I don't know the characters, so.
Yeah. Like, going in, you have to totally throw away your sense of reality when you watch these films.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
they're
I know
so-
that. Not like in a reality
Not
thing,
as a
but like
criticism,
as a
but-
hook.
Sure, yeah. Mhm.
Like you need to be invested in the story.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie could have been no story at all,
Yeah.
just kicking ass
Mhm.
the whole time, and I would have been just as satisfied.
Yeah.
And there are elements of the story that I didn't really buy into at all. Like Ewan McGregor's character, I didn't really buy as like a supervillain
Yeah.
that much. I'm sure
Mhm.
we'll get to that, but yeah, it just didn't really hook me in the beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
And the fact that Harley Quinn is really vulnerable in the
Mhm.
first half of the movie,
Right.
I'm assuming that's meant to like bring you in a little bit, but it kind of put me off a little bit.
Okay.
I wanted her to just be badass the whole time.
I see. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually have the same criticism you do in terms of the cast and like the ensemble. The way they were selling the movie, you thought they were going to be together for a good large chunk of the film, and they aren't until the very like last
The
you know,
climax.
quarter of the film.
Yeah,
So I was kind of bummed about that because I liked all the characters that they had
me too.
and I liked their interactions together, and they just didn't get enough screen time together, which was kind of a bummer. Let me ask you real quick about, so the way they set the story up, it's not very linear. Like, they go back a lot.
Yeah.
They go back and forward in time. Did you dig that at all?
Yeah, and I think they probably did that for my type of people that would end up seeing the movie
Yeah.
that don't really know much of the backstory
Right.
of anything.
Yeah.
When I did appreciate that.
Okay.
And so I got to know a little bit more because I had no clue how she was created.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've seen Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all chunked up in scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
So like kind of laying out her history with Mr. J
Mm-hmm.
and all that was cool. And then I did like how they would post the character and then the grievance when she would like run into new people that were trying to kill her. Because all that is probably like real callbacks to either the comic books or the animated series, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like those are probably villains from episodes, I'm guessing, in
Maybe,
her
maybe.
past.
I'm not that well versed in it, but I did like how they did that. It made it pretty pretty interesting. You like saw all the grievances listed,
Yeah,
and some of the grievances were hilarious too.
yeah. It was a really funny movie. I
Yeah,
appreciated that. It was Ewan McGregor's character was really, really funny.
yeah. He was interesting, but I think the main reason the film works in general is because of all the humor. If this movie's not funny, I don't buy this. It's just not fun to watch.
You'd have to go way dark.
Yeah,
And it's kind of hard to go really dark with her character because she's so like fun
yeah.
and bubbly and crazy.
Well, I felt like they tried to do that a little bit. So here's another kind of criticism I had is I felt at times they didn't know what tone they were going for. Like you have the R rating, you have the humor, that worked.
Yeah.
But then there were some scenes with Black Skull that were they were really dark. Almost like you get to a certain point of the film with him in a scene and something really dark happens and it kind of throws off the pace of the film.
Yeah, like the girl dancing on the table scene.
Yeah, that one was really awkward and kind of, I get it was supposed to be really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But its placement kind of, I felt, derailed the speed of the film. And then there was the scene with him in the warehouse with the 3 people that are captured.
Yeah.
Like he goes from complete nutty, like eccentric guy to this super dark, very serious character. And I mean, I guess that's Black Skull in general. But
is he like a major villain in the whole DC world?
In the Batman universe, yeah.
Okay.
He comes out of that. But I felt like the pace they were going for in Birds of Prey, it kind of derailed it at times. But then it got back on once Harley was back on screen. But did you get any of that? Like when you were seeing some of those scenes? Did it do any of that for you?
They didn't land.
Okay.
He landed as like a funny,
mm-hmm.
crazy guy.
Like you didn't buy him as the big evil guy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't land as like, even though those scenes were pretty dark,
mm-hmm.
and his right-hand man, played by Chris Messina.
Yeah.
He landed. He was creepy.
He was a great character. I thought.
He was really creepy, but yeah, it just didn't land very well.
Yeah. I feel the same way
in terms of a villain.
Yeah. I felt like there were moments where McGregor was very believable as an evil villain, but then other times he would try and like he'd deliver a line in a really evil voice trying to sound like he was sinister, but I just wasn't buying it.
Yeah.
And I think that could be just my baggage with all the Ewan McGregor films that I've seen before. But yeah, some of his...
He's been killing it lately, though.
Totally, yeah. And McGregor's a great actor. I'm not
Great
saying
actor.
he isn't. I just don't know if I bought him entirely in the role he was given.
Can you think of an actor off the top of your head playing that role and maybe having a bit eviler?
Oh, man. I mean, I don't want to put him in there because this seems almost too obvious, but someone in the same vein, I'd say a Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Someone like that. Someone that's a little more menacing, like, but then could also pull off little bits of the
funny,
like the sick humor. I think someone like him would do that, but I mean, that's kind of a generic answer, just off the top of my head. But someone in that vein, I would say. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I'm racking my brain right now. I can't really think of anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I mean,
but I love Tom Hardy.
It was
yeah. Put him in there.
Tom Hardy's great. Tom Hardy is the safety valve. It's like we can't think of someone good to put in this role. Just get Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah. He's the cash in box office cheat card.
Yeah. I know. And he's familiar with the Batman universe.
Is he in other Batmans?
Yeah, he was in The Dark Knight Rises with
Okay.
Christian Bale, your favorite Batman.
I haven't watched any of them.
Yeah, he
through.
played.
I can't take him seriously. I've tried a bunch.
He played Bane, and he was pretty scary in that film.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
maybe I'll need to watch that at some point.
He beats Batman to a pulp, like breaks his back and everything. It's
oh,
pretty
sweet.
awesome.
Maybe I do need to watch that.
It's pretty dark. Here's one thing I did want to ask you though, because I know you're a big fan of R ratings.
Yeah.
Especially in like I know horror films and maybe even films in this genre, even though you haven't really been exposed as much, but. Did you feel like...
Is there a lot of R-rated comic book movies?
No.
That's why I don't go see them.
The breakthrough comic book movie that was rated R was Deadpool.
Oh, I've seen Deadpool.
Deadpool changed the game.
So maybe that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man wasn't the last.
Okay, yeah. Deadpool really opened the floodgates in terms of comic book movies being able to go R.
Yeah.
At least with comedy elements. But I wanted to ask you, did you think this film... Well, first off... Did it seem like the R rating was necessary with what they gave us? And do you think that they could have pulled off as good a story without an R rating?
No, to the second question.
Okay.
It would have been way too cheesy if there wasn't an R rating.
Okay.
Because there has to be like consequence in these types of movies for me. And I feel when they're PG-13, like the violence isn't believable because it has to be toned down. And in this movie, I thought the violence was great. Like
Yeah.
the leg, a lot of legs breaking.
Oh yeah.
You know, a
Yeah.
lot of really good fight scenes.
Uh-huh.
Some pretty gruesome stuff, which I all appreciated.
Yeah.
I like that a lot more. And yeah, they could have gone much farther with an R rating too. On that same note,
Yeah.
that it's almost like the movie was right on the cusp between 13 and R.
Yeah.
Like it was just enough violence to be rated R.
Sure.
But like I don't remember a ton of cursing in the movie.
Oh, I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
They
maybe it's just that I don't hear them
They definitely.
if I'm not listening for it. Like but you could have probably chopped out a lot of that.
Yeah. They
and-
definitely
and
took
made
advantage.
Made it PG-13.
Yeah. Yeah. They really took advantage of being able to drop some F-bombs. I thought with the R rating.
So like in a target audience, if you were making this PG-13,
Mm-hmm.
it would be way more targeted towards teenage girls, right? And when you go with an R rating, you're shooting way more at 18 to 35-year-old guys because it's all a bunch of hot chicks.
Maybe. I would say in general, this film was marketed towards men.
Yeah,
Even though it's a kick-ass female film directed by a female,
totally.
which I love. But I totally feel like this is still directed at the male audience.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course it
Like
is.
majority of the comic book audience, I would say, are male. But I don't have the numbers to prove it. Although I will say that I don't think a male director could have pulled off the same story
Okay.
in terms of the cast, and some of the little details in the film I feel could only have been done with a woman at the helm. And
Okay.
I thought that was like really cool to see. I'm not familiar with Kathy Yon's previous work. I don't know if she's done a whole lot before this film, but I was really impressed with her direction and the way she was able to give you compelling characters that were interesting to watch and enjoyable to watch. And it made, the end of the film, when they come together, it paid off so well. And
Yeah.
I felt like she did a really good job of setting all that up.
She did a really good job of setting just enough backstory for every character, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character.
Mm-hmm.
What was her character?
Huntress.
The Huntress.
Yeah.
She was so funny. And how they would show her like in the mirror, like practicing her line when she would kill someone.
Her revenge lines.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciated how funny it all was and how it all kind of jabbed at like, yeah, these are like total badass characters, but
Yeah.
they're just normal people
Sure, yeah.
in general.
Uh-huh.
I did like that a lot.
Like, I was coming across a tweet maybe a few weeks ago, and someone pointed out, they were like, only a female director would have dropped this in the middle of an action sequence. And it's when they're in the fun house
Okay.
and Harley's on roller skates, and she stops to give Black Canary a hair tie.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like little things like that. That's something, a dude directing would totally blow off. And
It
it
never even occur.
yeah, and it adds to like the charm of the female ensemble cast. That's something I really enjoyed.
And to, put little bits of comedy in the big action.
Yeah.
In the middle of the big action is great.
Yeah, I thought she did a great job with the whole cast. Let's talk a little bit about Margot Robbie's performance specifically, and we'll go through a little bit of each of them, but I really wanted to address her first. So you said you have seen Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I don't know the story,
Okay, but
but I've seen probably every scene in the movie. So
Okay.
like I'd be flipping through and I'd be like, "Oh, Suicide Squad's
Uh-huh.
on." And maybe I'll catch one of Margot's scenes.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, totally.
So, but I don't know really anything about the character.
Okay, was there anything that you noticed that was different from her portrayal of Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad versus Birds of Prey?
Much more vulnerable
Okay.
in this. From everything I've seen in Suicide Squad, I don't really remember. Maybe I haven't
Yeah.
even seen the whole thing, but I don't really remember like her like losing her shit. She seemed always really confident in
Yeah.
that movie.
Uh-huh.
And that's probably because there's like a whole bunch of super characters
Yeah,
all
yeah.
like doing a job or
Mhm.
whatever they're tasked to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, she came across as just a lot more human maybe.
Yeah, I
in
got
this
that
movie.
too. I picked up on that too. One thing I will say is, well, here on my notes I have she was the Harleyest of Quinns.
Okay.
So I feel like you're spot on with your characterization of her in Suicide Squad. I felt like she was coming across as like a badass and trying to stay that way, put on like, I belong with all these people in this group that we have going in Suicide Squad. And I felt like her vulnerability in Birds of Prey was a strength of the character, and it was more consistent with the character you saw in the animated series.
Mm.
And so I loved how she would totally she'd be going batshit crazy in a club, dancing on tables and stuff, and then you cut to the next scene and she's bawling.
Yeah.
Like at the table, she's very emotionally unstable.
Yeah.
And I feel like this film did a way better job of portraying stuff like that than Suicide Squad did. And then I also liked how you get the sense that she just wants like a buddy, like she wants a friend or like a group. She wants like a family
Yeah.
to be around.
She's lonely.
Yeah, she's totally like she was all gung ho about getting the group together, like to work together. And I really liked that about her character. And one of the things I really loved with her is I liked how she lived in an apartment above a Chinese food restaurant.
Yeah.
And she's sitting down eating ice cream, watching like cartoons.
And some canned cheese. I love that nod.
Yeah, squirting the canned cheese in her mouth. On
Cheese
top of
whiz.
all that, with her pet hyena, like
Bruce.
up there, Bruce, named after the hunk that she had. That's also out of the comics. She has
Okay.
pet hyenas.
I figured for people like her whole apartment was
Yeah.
probably straight out of one of the novel or graphic novels or whatever they are.
Yeah. It's like the little details like that of her character I felt really shone through in the film and did her a huge service. For fans that know her, I felt like this was, like I said, I put the Harleyest of Quinns. That sounds like a good title for the article.
Yeah. I really appreciated how shit-faced she got in all of it. Like, I feel like they wouldn't let her get that drunk
Yeah.
if it was rated PG-13.
Yeah.
And she did a really good job of playing a really drunk character,
Yeah.
which is kind of really hit or miss with actors.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like if you've ever watched Trailer Park Boys,
Oh, yeah.
like
yeah,
they're really good at playing drunk. It almost seems like they actually are drunk on
Yeah.
a lot of it. And
Yeah.
I thought she did a really good job as playing a drunk character and just taking shots like crazy. And
Yeah.
she was really funny too. And her character was awesome.
There were also little moments too, like when she's coming out of the club and she overhears a group of girls talking bad about her behind her back. Little moments like that where you kind of feel for her in the moment, like she's getting kind of hated on.
Those were like her friends though, right? Because wasn't she going up and getting all the drinks and then she comes around the corner?
Yeah, I think
she was getting drinks for all of
I
them
think
and
you're
she
right.
thought they were her friends.
Well, that makes it even better then.
Yeah.
Because you totally you feel for her in moments like that, and that's something I feel like you didn't get in Suicide Squad. Like her humanity came out in this film, I thought,
Mm-hmm.
even though she's this larger than life, batshit crazy character.
And I love that she's super intelligent.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. I'm glad you said that. She rocked the. That's also in the comics. She has a PhD. She was a psychiatrist, and that's how she fell in love with the Joker. And I loved how she flaunted that around in this movie.
Yeah.
She's like, "Don't call me dumb. I got a PhD.
Yeah.
I know what the fuck I'm talking about." Like it was great.
And they did one little flashback to when she's from Suicide Squad when she's got the glasses on before she's Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
Which whoo,
man.
whoo. You could put her in anything,
Yeah.
and lots of men would go to see it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, she
Put
was
her
great.
reading the ingredients to a box of cereal on the big screen, and people will go see it.
Oh my god, highest grossing film.
She's all over the place this year too, right? Bombshell.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and
she's getting out there in the public eye.
she's awesome.
She's landing great roles. And she's a great actress.
Great actress.
She does a really good job. I loved how she announced her breakup with the Joker by driving the truck into the chemical plant.
Yeah.
And then it blows up and it's like this colorful just atom bomb scene behind her and she's strutting, walking off like a badass.
Yeah, visually the movie was awesome.
Oh yeah.
All of that, all the color,
Yeah.
the action, the mixing of really fast paced with slow motion. action. I loved the visuals of the movie.
Yeah, me too. And I think they complemented the tone they were going for too, at least with the comedy. I thought it suited it well. Were there any other characters that you were kind of drawn to?
I really liked Cassandra Cain, Ella J. Bosco's character.
Yeah.
I loved how she was a little pickpocket
Yeah.
and would. I thought some of those pickpocketing scenes were really good. Not super believable as a pickpocket, but still really good.
Yeah.
And I think she did a really good job at playing like the sneaky kid,
Yeah.
but also a extremely sympathetic
Mhm.
character because she's got like a horrible
Yeah.
home life going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like that Black Canary is like lives in the same apartment complex
Yeah.
and brings her in. Joni Smollett Bell is her name. I liked her. I liked all the characters in the movie except Sionis. Just didn't land.
Yeah.
That's the only character that didn't land really well for me.
I feel the same way. Ella J. Bosco, though, I liked how witty her character was and how she wasn't afraid to give it to any of the characters. Like,
Yeah.
just totally throw shit at their face.
Yeah, the writing was really
Yeah,
good.
It was really, really strong.
Really funny. Lots of great little one-liners and comebacks
Yeah.
in the movie.
I will say, though, that I think the film does a good job of downplaying the superhero element. I know it's big in some scenes, but in terms of like powers and stuff and going that route, I liked how the story was a lot more grounded. And so at the end, near the end, when you see Black Canary and she does her like shout to
Yeah.
blow everyone away, that kind of threw me off because I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, so they kind of show you a little glimpse of that early in the movie when she's singing in the club.
Yeah, and she breaks
and
the
she
glass.
breaks the glass,
Mhm.
but I didn't know that was her superpower.
Yeah.
Is that her superpower in the comic books?
I think
and
so,
stuff?
to be honest.
It probably has to be. Right?
Yeah, I would think so. I'm not as familiar with her in the comics as some of the other characters, but yeah, I would assume so. That's her specialty right there. But I loved her in the role. I thought she did a good job of portraying like the caring, like older sister character to Cassandra Cain,
Yeah.
and then also being like kind of comforting her at the same time because I wouldn't be surprised if her background was really similar. Like she lives in very similar circumstances.
She doesn't seem like a villain at all.
No.
You know, where Harley Quinn's kind of, you can't really tell
Yeah.
if she's a villain or a hero. She's kind of both.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even classify Harley as a villain in the film. She's just
No, not
unpredictable.
in this film.
In this film, she's just totally unpredictable.
But she does bad stuff.
Yeah.
And they highlight that.
Oh my God, you just made me remember one of my favorite parts with her is when she's getting the breakfast sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
That's totally in line with something Harley Quinn would do. Like she's just totally melting over a breakfast sandwich.
That sandwich looked bomb too.
It was like her life at that moment.
That's cool.
But yeah, really, really great.
What'd you think of the Huntress?
The Huntress I thought was cool. I liked how she was a badass assassin. Like she'd been training since she was a kid, and she becomes this expert markswoman. And then I like how they contrast that with her giving like the lines in the mirror when she's trying to
Yeah, she's really funny.
give her revenge lines that she says to her victims. I like how you have the super confident assassin that's contrasted with that unsure kind of, she's very unsure of her own kind of headspace when she's like on her revenge quest.
Yeah, it's like she's really confident in her physical abilities.
Yeah.
And really
And just
insecure in
insecure.
her persona.
Yeah, and her
as a as a badass.
Yeah, it was great.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Dude, she's like supermodel type gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like really tall,
Mm-hmm.
like really sleek, long neck.
Yeah.
So yeah, her character, the Huntress, landed great for me. She was super funny, total badass, has like this deep history. She's got all of her hit list on her revenge.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked her character a lot.
Yeah, the other thing that I'm remembering now is I liked how each of the women characters had something to offer Cassandra Cain. Like There's a moment with Huntress where she gives, I guess they're in the middle of fire, like pretty heavy fire, and Cassandra gives her the car that she had as a kid
Oh yeah.
to hold. She's like, hold on to this and just,
Because that like got her through when her whole family was
right.
massacred.
Like, I really liked the interplay that all the characters had. They strengthened each other, and I thought that was really well done and made them very likable. What did you think of Renee Montoya?
Rosie
Played by
Perez.
Rosie Perez's
She's
character.
awesome.
I thought that was perfect casting.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a total badass in the movie.
And I love
And
how
I
they,
like her a lot.
I like how they made her and you see this at every company, every job, the person who gets the work done and gets none of the glory
Yeah.
and is used as like a footstool for other people to climb up the ranks.
Yeah.
It was really tragic.
And her like super, super heavy, like a New York kind of
Yeah.
accent
Yeah.
is really good. I thought she did pretty good in this movie considering she's quite a bit older than all these other
Yeah.
actresses, right?
She fit right in too with the group.
Yeah. She takes on like a almost a matriarch type role at the very end.
Yeah, she is kind of like the leader almost.
Yeah.
I want to go back to what you said though about New York. I don't know if they filmed this in New York. Did that look like New York to you at all?
I don't know.
But
I've never been to New York.
Yeah, me either. But I wanted to hit on this too. One of the things I loved about the way they set up the locations in this film is I loved how a lot of it was shot on location in the city. I thought that really gave an element of realism to the film, and I loved the locations. Like, I liked the back alleys. I liked the markets that they're walking through. I liked Harley's apartment, even though that was probably a stage. But I liked how she lived on top of the restaurant, and it really it made the scenery very interesting to me. And I feel like that was kind of something I didn't really care for in Suicide Squad. I felt like a majority of that film I was watching a set.
Looked way too fake.
Yeah, and it looked too dark. It seemed like they were going for the comic book look in Suicide Squad, where with this one they gave it a lot more natural, like, realism.
It seemed like visually they put a lot of effort in to set design and where they were filming on location, and a lot of like the car driving scenes seem really real.
Yeah, I really liked all that stuff. I liked parts where you even have Harley like in a roller rink.
Yeah, the roller derby.
Yeah, like that's so cool. Like, it all made sense in that urban environment. It's something you would totally see, and I thought that was a major strength. The funhouse. I want to talk a little bit about that action sequence. That was, to me, out of the comics as well. There's been a few comics that involve like a mad funhouse, and it's usually a Joker storyline. And I'm really glad they used that as like the big set piece for the last battle.
Yeah.
Because in there, like, anything goes. Like, you literally have Harley change her shoes in the middle of the fight into roller skates. And everyone's like bouncing off of like jumpies and trampolines and like socking each other in the face. I thought that was so fun.
Yeah, it was really fun, and it was quite a long action climax of the movie, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
Because there was some good action in the movie, and then I felt like it kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
For a while and kind of lost me, and I was really hoping for a large payoff action scene at the end of the movie, and it was absolutely that. When they're in the funhouse, all those fight scenes were awesome. They were done so well and like so goofy and funny noises.
Yeah.
And then, after that, the whole car chase with the roller skates, I absolutely loved that as far as action goes. I thought it was super, super well done.
Yeah. I liked also, too, how they're in the room and they see the crowd of gangsters coming to smoke them out. And Harley goes to the closet and there's no firepower in there whatsoever. Like, Joker took all the firearms. And then you set up her her little box of tricks and she pulls out her mallet.
Yeah.
Like, that's classic Harley Quinn right there. And then, like, from there, they go down the slide and into, like, the depths of the funhouse. I thought that was so well executed.
Yeah, that's probably a callback, right?
Yeah.
To
the whole funhouse element is a total callback to the comics in the animated series.
Yes. It was super entertaining, all the action in the movie. and the visuals. What'd you think about Chris Messina's character? Was it Victor Saz?
Yeah. To me, he was the more effective villain. I bought his creepy, crazy darkness.
Yeah, he was really creepy in how he always spoke with a really low register.
And the thing with him too is you notice like he has this really piercing stare, like this really creepy look when he stares the other people down on frame with him. And I felt like I was more afraid of him than I was Black Skull.
Yeah, and it's almost like he has his own plans in the movie too.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he's loyal to Sionis, but he's manipulating the game a little bit for his own sake.
Yeah, and there's just like you can tell there's a screw loose in his head. Like he has that really mad, crazy vibe going. When he catches up with them in the fun house and he's about to go and check on Cassandra, like I was curious to know if he was gonna get anywhere near her character at all. And then he mentions like he's gonna like cut her open, just how he did in the beginning of the film with the 3 people in the warehouse. But then I liked how he's the one, right, that tranquilizes Harley.
Yeah,
I think he tranquilizes her. Yeah, well, anyways, she's all woozy, and then she's finally waking up, and then they get him, and then he's lying flat on the floor. And then as another character speaking and they're getting the plot going, Harley's just there like randomly stabbing him with the dart.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was cracking up during that scene.
Yeah, and shout out to Ali Wong. She's in the movie a little bit. I love seeing comedians.
Yeah,
she's in the movies.
She was awesome.
She plays the DA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she did a great job too. There's not a whole lot, we could say about the cast that's really bad at all. I thought.
Yeah, even McGregor's character, it's not that he didn't do a great job.
No.
I think it's more of that character in general.
Yeah.
Doesn't really come across as too much of a menacing villain.
Yeah, and like I said, he had some really dark parts that were dark and pretty scary. And I thought those were pretty strong for his character. But there were other times where I wasn't buying into the whole evil villain thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. Is there like a huge rift between Marvel and DC fans, or do they generally?
I think it's
mesh pretty well.
It's more of a perceived like battle going on, and I don't think it's an actual real thing because the same people that are going out to watch the DC films are the ones going to watch Marvel.
Yeah.
I will say though that overall, in general, I think Marvel's making better films.
Okay.
Than DC. Have
they done any rated R though? Are they
not in the Marvel universe?
Is Deadpool a Marvel? Oh yeah, because he's X-Men, right?
Yeah, he's Marvel,
part of that universe.
But in terms of like the Captain America, Thor,
I haven't seen
like
any of
those films. He's not, at least yet, in that universe, which they call the MCU. But yeah, I'd say in general, Marvel makes better quality films than DC. Although the last 4 DC films that have come out, like Shazam, Aquaman, I'd put Birds of Prey in there. And I know I'm leaving one out. But they've been...
Was Joker a DC movie?
Yes, Joker.
Okay.
I'll say Joker too, but that was disconnected from the DC.
Yeah, that was a realistic adaptation, right?
But DC is definitely ticking upward in terms of the quality of their films.
Aquaman? Really?
Yeah. I thought Aquaman was fun.
Dude, I turned on... It was on at some point. I think it was on HBO or something. And I watched like 10 minutes of it, and it was just the worst. I couldn't even finish it. I wanted to watch it because Amber Heard's in it. And I was like, okay, no, thank you.
All right, fair
Couldn't
enough.
get into it at all.
Fair enough.
Birds of Prey, I've only seen 10 minutes of Aquaman, and this movie was way better.
Yeah. Well, moral of the story, they're ticking upward, I think.
Okay.
Even
and
if
they're trending darker, right? Is that fair to say?
No, actually, I'd say the opposite.
Oh.
I'd say they're trending brighter. That was one of their big criticisms early on when they had like Man of Steel and then they did the Justice League, Batman versus Superman, is a lot of people were complaining that the tone was just way too dark. Like people were like when Man of Steel
Who was Batman in Batman versus Superman? Affleck?
Like when Man of Steel came out, that was the first film in the DCU. And a lot of people were kind of thrown aback because Superman's supposed to be this bright, hopeful character that inspires people, and he comes out and he's more of like a Batman character. He's like very kind of depressed and down and very dreary. So I would say, yeah, they're actually seem like they're trying to get out of that.
Oh.
And embrace like the comedic
The
tones and the more fun
like this movie.
Like this movie, and be a little less heavy.
Okay.
I feel like the first 3 films out of the gate were kind of heavy.
And now Marvel's are getting darker, you say?
Marvel's films have been very consistent. They've been a lot more like fun and energetic and not afraid of comedy, even though you might have some heavy storylines. And that's something that a lot of people enjoy with the Marvel films that DC wasn't hitting on early on. But I feel like they're starting to take a little bit of that tone.
Okay.
Like I said, though, I think the past 3 or 4 films that they've done have been really, really good quality. And I'd definitely throw this one in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into some love-hates.
Sure.
What'd you love about the movie?
I loved the characters. This film is littered with badass female characters. But I have to give props to Margot Robbie. She made the movie for me. Everything I loved about Harley Quinn in the comics and the animated series, I got in Birds of Prey. And so I'd say, especially for fans of the character of Harley Quinn, you have to watch this film because you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I loved the action most.
Yeah.
The acting was great. I loved all the chicks. I mean, a bunch of hot chicks kicking ass. I mean, what's not to like about that?
Sure.
But the action is where it really landed well for me. I loved the fight scene in the evidence room at the police station.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
What was she shooting? Was she shooting?
She had some weird like cartoon cannon. You know, like one bomb had like confetti in it. The other
explodes
one
glitter.
Yeah, it was funny. But then the fight scene in the back room, in the evidence room, I thought was really well done. When she breaks that one guy's leg like 3 different ways.
Oh man, yeah.
And then when she throws the bat and it bounces off the ground and hits the guy in the face and they like slow-mode that out. Hey, does her character in like say the old animated series and stuff, does she flip around a lot? Is she like very gymnastic in her fight style?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I thought they played that up a lot in the movie. She's constantly doing like little judo moves and flipping over people and flip kicks and stuff, and I thought that was sweet, especially with the roller skates on.
Yeah, she's very much like that.
Yeah, so that's what I absolutely loved about the movie was all the action, all the fighting. It was shot really well. It was really believable.
Yeah.
In terms of like fight scenes.
Sure.
You know, sometimes like it looks like she's hitting the dudes for real, like especially on the leg breaks. Like I loved the leg breaking.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite part of the whole movie. She does it twice. She like breaks the 2 dudes' legs, the guy's 2 legs in the club.
Yeah, she jumps on him off the table.
Yeah.
Like in high heels, I think.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. And then the dude in the evidence room, she breaks it like 3 different ways. It's awesome. Absolutely loved the action in the movie.
Yeah, in that case, you would not have been able to get away with that with a PG-13.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
In that sense, it really served the film well. And if there was one thing I had to dislike, maybe a couple things, it would be, one, at times I felt like Ewan McGregor, his portrayal of the character of Black Skull was kind of off at times, where he'd come across very dark in a scene, and then at another point, he'd be trying to come across as the evil villain, but it didn't really work for me in some cases. Having said that, though, I'm a huge fan of Ewan McGregor, and I love a lot of his work. So that's no knock on him. It could have just been maybe the way the character was written on the page that he was trying to get across. That didn't work for me. The other aspect was I felt like parts of the tone of the film were off a bit and kind of derailed when you had like the comedic aspect going and things were moving. Then it would get like really dark at a certain spot, and I felt like it derailed a little bit, but then you quickly got back on track. And those are just 2 minor critiques I have of the film.
It's almost like they overshot the evil with McGregor's character.
Yeah.
Because he's really only truly designed to come off as menacing and not funny in like 2 scenes.
Yeah.
And they were like really almost overshot, like too evil.
Yeah, like I almost would have just ran with the comedic aspect of his character the whole time.
Yeah, I would have rather had him just be kind of crazy
Yeah,
the whole way,
Mhm.
and then not as like I guess narcissistic.
sure.
But yeah, that's where it's at for me too. I felt the story kind of took a long time to get to where the title of the movie comes from.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing too.
I would have maybe liked them to join forces a bit earlier
Yeah,
in the movie and maybe not just have one triumph together, but multiple.
yeah.
You know, maybe that's where they go with the spin-offs, because there's obviously
Yeah,
going to be spin-offs.
yeah. Give us
Right,
more
because
time.
every comic book movie, there's never just one.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it's kind of a downer. This movie looks like it's gonna lose money
Oh,
at
that
the box
sucks.
office, so no one really went out to see it.
Might be a timing issue, huh?
Could have been.
Middle of winter.
It underperformed like crazy.
I was the only person in the theater
Yeah, there
when I
weren't.
saw it, and it was a Tuesday after
Mhm.
it had premiered
Yeah.
the previous weekend.
Mhm.
And shout out to Studio Movie Grill again. I had
What did
it
you
was
get?
only $5 this time, dude. It was only $5.
What did you have on the plate this time?
I had a buffalo chicken pizza
Oh man.
that was dynamite and a beer.
Oh, awesome.
And I was cheaped up on some Gelato G for this. I made sure to put a little chillum in the car so I could, because I saw this one on the way home from work too. So I took a couple tokes before I went in. It was
That's
great.
like the perfect Birds of Prey meal right there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I went with chicken
Yeah.
instead of beef.
Yeah.
Have some synergy with the title.
Yeah, got a little bit of the sizzle.
But
But yeah,
that's pretty discouraging.
I know. Because I would totally watch a sequel to the movie. Like, I want to see the Birds of Prey again together. Like, give us more screen time with them together.
Yeah.
I was eating all of that up.
Or you think they'll take each character? Does that happen a lot in like superhero comic book movies?
Where they come together?
No, because I know that happens a
Yeah.
lot. But like each character has like their own big group of series of movies too, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's enough depth for Black Canary and Huntress.
I mean,
Huntress could have a movie.
you probably could do films just based off of each of the characters. I don't think they're going to go that route, though, especially with the box office bomb. But I do hope we get a sequel because, I mean,
Same director too. Keep
Yeah.
the vibe of the movie.
she did such a good job.
Get a better villain.
Yeah.
Run it back, and it'll be awesome. Because like everything landed for me in the movie except the villain, and that's kind of a big part.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why, more people didn't go out to see it. It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's a total bummer that a rated R movie isn't doing well at the box office, because I'm rooting for rated R like all the way.
Yeah, I mean,
I want these movies all to be. I want every movie I see to be rated R.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Studios won't usually give a film like this a rated R because they want the widest possible viewership to come in. But Deadpool put that all to bed.
So why do you think Deadpool would be such a bigger rated R draw than Margot?
I can't answer that. All I know is Deadpool totally dismantled that idea of rated R movies don't make money at the box office. Because it was like one of the highest grossing R-rated films of all time.
Yeah, I really hope this movie doesn't swing that pendulum back and they all go
Yeah.
PG-13 because like, oh, Birds of Prey didn't do well.
I hope
But it's
not.
going to lose money, like really, like on
It's looking like it's going to lose money.
what it costs to make versus
Mhm.
what it grosses.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have the specific numbers, but I know it tanked pretty bad.
Oh,
It
that
did not
sucks.
meet their expectations. So,
Didn't deserve to tank.
no, it's not a bad movie at all. It's really, I'd say there's a lot more positive coming out of it than anything negative. I think at one point it was at like a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah, it's gone down since a little bit, but it still has a fair rating.
Mm.
Hopefully they try it again, because I would love to see the characters back, the Birds of Prey.
Yeah. Run it back with a much better villain.
Yeah.
And it's probably way more expensive. But lean into the action. I could have had another good 10 minutes of fight scenes
Yeah,
in this movie.
totally.
Like the last fight scene's really long, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But I could have had some more. Definitely could have had some more.
Yeah, you could tell right off the bat that they were having a blast making the movie.
Yeah.
Like the energy came through, I thought. And you don't always get that. So I thought, yeah, Kathy, hats off to Kathy Yan. She did a great job.
Yeah, hell yeah, Kathy. Awesome.
So, we've reached that point of the show. What do you give Birds of Prey?
I will go rate the movie 3.25 bong loads.
3.25?
3.25 because visually it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked all the characters and all the acting, short of the villain. And you can't really go, in my opinion, you can't go much higher with a comic book movie, right? Maybe if there's a really awesome one, you can get towards a 4. But when you're talking much higher ratings, that's like stuff that's going to win awards. So you got to keep.
That's fair, yeah.
You got to keep it within reason, in my opinion. 3.25 bong loads.
Totally. I'm not expecting Birds of Prey to be one of those Oscar-worthy films.
No. No.
Having said that, though.
Maybe for like set design or
Sure.
director of photography. I don't know.
Yeah. But
visually, it's awesome.
Yeah. Having said that, though, I had a good time watching it. It was, it was a ticket worth spent, and I had a blast watching it. I had a lot of fun watching Margot and all the rest of the women, the kick-ass characters. I'm going to give it a 3.5. 3.5 buckets of popcorn.
Okay.
It's a film I'd totally recommend fans of the genre, fans of Harley Quinn to go out and see and support. It's totally worth the enjoyment you get out of those characters and Harley Quinn in particular.
It's a blast to watch. I think it'll get a lot of action on once it hits the streaming world.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if they released this in the summer, it might have had a way better showing.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's kind of a hard time period to release a movie because the Oscars had just happened, and or was it the same weekend that it came out?
It might have been. Actually,
it might have been the same weekend.
Yeah, that could have hurt.
And so
it too.
All these theaters.
And there's so many great films coming out right now.
Yeah, everybody's seeing these, Parasite and Jojo Rabbit and 1917, all these movies that are getting all kinds of critic acclaim.
Yeah.
People are going out to see these probably.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's that Birds of Prey movie. We'll catch that when it comes on.
Sure.
Like, yes, we want to see that too, but there's a priority at hand.
Yeah.
Like everyone's saying 1917 is like the craziest film movie ever.
Yeah.
Which it is. So maybe that has a lot to do with it too. So there's like kind of a few factors all playing in, like the R rating, the timing.
Yeah.
Middle of winter, it's cold.
Yeah, but I don't know. I would stress that to me it has nothing to do with the quality of the film. I thought it was fine, and I thought it's something I'd recommend people go out and see for sure.
Yeah, me too.
So you heard it from us, guys. The Buff and the Blazer. I'm Drew with El Toddo, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Later.